Well, friends, we are going to record some videos to further explain the relationship between astral unfolding and the death of the ego. It is important to deeply understand these pillars and why they represent the synthesis during these challenging and uncertain times. Understanding the fundamental pillars of inner work has become urgent. We cannot afford to waste the little time we have left. Otherwise, we will end up exhausting our defects with too many activities, reading countless books, and searching everywhere without truly dedicating our defects to what is essential, the synthesis. The first thing to understand is that the death of the ego and astral unfolding represent the synthesis of the synthesis, or what we could call a metasynthesis, an absolute synthesis where no essential pillar can be removed. We know that inner work is based on the three factors of the revolution of conscience, but by synthesizing these factors even further, we arrive at the death of the ego and astral unfolding, which are indispensable tools to help us get closer to the real work. These two pillars are essential for the true spiritual seeker. We cannot neglect either of them, as they complement and support each other. Understanding the relationship between the death of the ego and the liberation of consciousness is the purpose of this video. It is important to note that the death of the ego liberates the essence trapped within the self. This is the first process, the liberation of conscience. However, once liberated, conscience must go through a stage of awakening, which represents a second level of work. This is where astral unfolding comes in. Eliminating certain defects allows conscience to free itself from where it is trapped, but awakening conscience is an even deeper step. This awakening requires the individual to understand their true spiritual nature. In reality, we are not the body, we have a body. We are not the mind, we have a mind. When we work on the death of the ego, we are recovering and liberating the essence that is trapped in the mind and the body. After that, astral unfolding allows this essence to awaken and become aware of its multidimensional presence, both in the cosmos and within oneself. Sexual transmutation anchors conscience in both the physical body and the subtle bodies. To achieve this, one must go through three key stages: liberation, awakening, and integration or fixation of conscience. These processes are interdependent and complementary, and working on them together is essential for spiritual progress. The first steps are liberation and awakening. However, those who have greater knowledge, who are in a relationship, who understand sexual transmutation, and who are actively transmuting their sexual energy, are also anchoring that conscience into the physical body, into the spine, the vertebrae, and throughout the awakening of the Kundalini. At that point, the conscience begins to integrate within the person's physical body and subsequently merges with the various subtle bodies. Therefore, the fundamental requirement for us is to work with the energies of these two bodies, the physical and the vital. This will enable us to make a significant leap toward astral unfolding in a more consistent and sustained manner. A person who has already worked on their energy and anchored their conscience will find astral unfolding much easier. It will not be as complicated, difficult, or heavy as it is for someone who has not yet reached these levels. Astral unfolding awakens the essence liberated by the death of the ego to its true reality, pulling it out of a state of drowsiness and bringing it to a state of clarity, presence, and auto-observation. These are fundamental factors for the work, achieving both intuitive clarity and mental, conceptual understanding. This internal clarity and presence are essential because everything happens in the here and now. This work of attaining and understanding presence, and entering eternity, the fifth dimension or astral realm, will allow us to grasp the nature of momentariness, that continuous presence that conscience must come to embody. Entering this deeper state of awakening is undoubtedly achieved through auto-observation. Auto-observation is the foundation of everything. Without auto-observation, it is difficult for anyone to eliminate a psychological defect. Everything begins with auto-observation, which goes hand in hand with presence. A person can observe them defects without being in a state of presence, but that auto-observation will be ambiguous and rudimentary. True auto-observation occurs when a person learns to be present, here and now, moment by moment, instant by instant. Bringing constant presence into our lives allows conscience to carry out its work. Astral unfolding and the death of the ego have a reciprocal relationship. Death aids astral unfolding, and astral unfolding aids death. The death of the ego precedes astral unfolding unless the person already has certain faculties or capacities carried over from previous existences, making this practice easier for them. But these are the exceptions to the rule. They exist, but they are few. Most of us must develop this ability, and developing it requires going through the process of prior death. Astral unfolding will later assist in the process of ego death, as this awakening of conscience provides the knowledge and necessary information about the progress of our inner work in the astral realm. It allows for the study of certain defects, aspects of the ego, identifying which ones can be eliminated, and understanding the state of each individual's progress. Additionally, individuals can connect with specific masters who offer guidance and help in identifying areas where their work is weak, pinpointing which egoic aspects might be causing stagnation, and so on. Thus, we see there is a synchronicity between ego death and astral unfolding. They mutually support each other, and this interrelationship is what we must understand to work on both simultaneously. We know that ego death, at its core, removes the fascination with the physical world. By doing so, it facilitates astral unfolding, as our main challenge is precisely the fascination we have with the physical plane. To enter the astral world, we must first go through the process of letting go of this fascination or daydream-like state. This fascination in the physical realm often continues into the astral realm, keeping conscience dormant there as well. We know that the process begins with identification. As a person becomes increasingly identified with the various processes of life, they then fall into fascination, and finally into the sleep of conscience. Identification, fascination, and sleep are the three steps of the hypnotic state of conscience. These are the mechanisms the ego uses to keep us in a dreamlike state. Therefore, by removing this fascination and identification, through the work of ego death, attention to detail, and continuous requests to the Divine Mother to eliminate defects while practicing auto-observation across the various centers of the human machine, conscience begins to emerge from its deep sleep. This awakening allows astral unfolding to occur. In this way, ego death precedes the capacity to achieve astral unfolding. As long as someone remains in a state of sleep or entrapment of conscience, it will be very difficult for them to enter other realms. Awakening occurs in levels, beginning in the physical world and progressing upward. Conscience awakens and activates by being liberated here in the physical realm. This process removes the hypnotic power that keeps conscience in a dreamlike state. This initial liberation subsequently impacts the astral realm. Thus, if conscious work is not performed here, in the physical plane, which is the primary level connected to the body, it will be very difficult to carry out such work in other dimensions. Everything begins in the physical world, which forms the foundation for all subsequent psychological and spiritual work. In this sense, the death of the ego precedes astral unfolding. The ego has the characteristic of dulling and disorienting conscience. If a person moves through the physical world like a zombie, half-dazed and disoriented, it will be very difficult to achieve clear orientation in other dimensions. Receiving accurate guidance in other dimensions first requires removing the ego's power to dull conscience. It is necessary to free conscience from its state of disorientation, confusion, and chaos. Only then will it be possible to enter the internal worlds with greater clarity and guidance. The ego constantly absorbs or feeds on the energy of the physical body, draining it from the 5 lower centers of the human machine: the sexual center, the instinctive center, the emotional center, the intellectual center, and the motor center. This drain weakens the physical body, and a weakened body cannot achieve astral unfolding. The first astral unfoldings or initial processes are related to lucid dreaming and the recollection of the inner worlds. However, consciously entering the astral dimension requires a significant amount of energy, both internal and external. Initial unfoldings are often directed toward one's inner astral realm, where representations, images, ideas, concepts, and the defects we carry are found. However, to access the external astral realm, where the astral world is experienced more broadly, even more energy is needed. The ego, by draining the physical body's energy, negatively impacts this ability. However, when a person disciplines defects, eliminates certain defects, and their traits through supplication to the Divine Mother, They begin to recover energy, correctly redirecting it toward the purpose of astral unfolding. Without energy, this process becomes extremely difficult. This relationship between the death of the ego and astral unfolding is essential. The death of the ego allows us to recover energy from the five centers, strengthening the connection between the physical world and the astral world. Maintaining strong energy facilitates astral unfolding while simultaneously reinforcing inner work. In the White Lodge, the two fundamental pillars of divine justice are justice and mercy. Working on the death of the ego helps us establish justice within our defects, as the ego, by its nature, is unbalanced and unjust. On the other hand, astral unfolding enables us to experience mercy, as in those realms reside the masters and the tribunal of divine justice, who can guide and assist us with compassion. That is why it is said that the death of the ego and astral unfolding constitute a metasynthesis, a fundamental synthesis to understand the basic structure of inner work. These two pillars are our lifeline and the way a person can transform them defects. Someone who practices the death of the ego and astral unfolding, even if they have not yet mastered these faculties, is on the right path. However, anyone who does not work on the death of the ego and only tries to achieve astral unfolding can hardly claim to be truly advancing. Master Samuel and Master Rabelais, in their efforts to synthesize the path, left us this knowledge as a guide to walk toward awakening and our spiritual realization. Everything is within us, and if we work on the death of the ego and astral unfolding, we will be assisted and will not be alone. This reflection seeks to emphasize the importance of understanding the relationship between these fundamental pillars and why they represent the synthesis of the synthesis, that is, the metasynthesis. If we truly understand what we must do, we can move forward, otherwise, it will be difficult to achieve results. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to send them via WhatsApp, chat, or comments. In the description below, you will find the email for inquiries and the link to download the PDF booklet of this metasynthesis. May your inner being bless you.